check it. Yeah, beautiful. I just wanted to check. So that seems to affect sweet. Yeah, I know, it's crazy. It's weird. It's weird.
I like to heckle the crowd. I usually do that.
And thank you for everyone in the crowd of that. So for those watching at home, we are at the training week. So every 3 to 4 weeks, we have our wonderful franchisees who just come and do the training. We do it on a Wednesday night, which is end of the 3-day generic course. And big thanks to them for that round of applause. And it's episode number 50, Jim. Mm-hmm. Can you believe we got to half a century?
Half a century, yeah.
Yeah, I think Jake's goal was 100, but I was quite happy to get past 1. So we're here at 50, which is great. So if you are watching tonight online, we do have a $250 voucher for whoever leaves a question or a comment in there. So we've got a couple coming through right now, and we'll give that to that, and in the crowd as well tonight. So we've got all your questions here. So what will happen is we'll throw it to you, then Mike on the mic will come over, and then he'll give you the mic and just read out your question. And for the best one tonight, or whatever Jim thinks, the $250 voucher will go to you as a Jim Script voucher to use any of the services. So let's get straight into it. So the first one I've got here is from Matt. Where is Matt? So Matt's in the front row.
G'day Jim, how are you?
Yeah, I'm good.
That's good. If you were a mowing franchisee, would you, one, build your business, or would you split it, and why?
I do splits. I reckon splits are great.
Short answer?
And why?
I just love splits. I think they're fantastic. You pick up a whole chunk of cash, then you go and build it again and do it again, over and over again. It's great money, and you don't have the hassles of so many employees. Some people do it very well, but it's a minority.
What about both?
Well,
would you do both?
That's great too, yeah.
There's one franchisee we had, I remember Dan Kay, who doesn't do any splits. He hasn't turned off leads since he started 2 years ago. He's got around 4 staff on. So there's another person who does the other side. I think his revenue is like $450K in his second year as a 26-year-old. So when you go on Jim's online, you click videos there, you can actually see the full interview series we did with Dan, and he tells you how he does it. So he's on the other side, which franchisors don't like because it's not splitting the thing, but he just doesn't turn leads off and builds his business up. So
yeah. The thing about me, Matt, is I like being by myself. I really enjoy my own company. So to me, working by myself was always quite pleasant. And like today, I was up on my farm because the power was out here, and I was doing my emails and stuff. And in between, I just go out and do gardening and stuff like that. I just enjoy it. So if I was a more social person, I probably like the process of putting on workers more.
It's a great question, Matt. Thanks for that one. So we'll get to another one here, which is Michael. Where's Michael?
Here he is. Jim, where do you see gyms being in 5 years?
Where do you see gyms being in 5 years?
We just got to get better. The technology is going to make a phenomenal difference, and the programs that are coming through in the next few months, which is Gym Jobs, is going to be revolutionary, I believe. It'll help our franchisees to be a lot more efficient. It'll save them a lot of time in terms of getting in contact with clients. We want to be able to do things like be able to book jobs in for franchisees in some situations because we'll know where you are, and so you tell us you're prepared to. So when a client rings up, instead of you calling back, we actually be able to, under certain situations, actually book the job in and say we're there between 2 and 4 in the afternoon. We'll have less complaints because there'll be systems that'll remind you, for example, to call back. It'll also, when you set an appointment, it'll actually be able to text to the client when the appointment is, so that they know when it is. Because I deal with a lot of complaints and stuff, so I'm always looking at ways to improve on that. Technology can be phenomenally useful. We can actually make sure our franchises get a better income and our clients get a better service. And that's my overwhelming aim, that we should just keep on improving what we do. But we're spending millions of dollars on developing IT right now, technology, and that's going to make a big difference, I believe.
So what's the ETA on the Jim's mobile app, the Jim's Jobs mobile app? What's the...
Well, we're hoping for the end of next month. We've been aiming for it. We're really pushing them to get, by the end of next month, Jim's Jobs should be fully mobile. But it won't stop there, actually. As soon as it'll be equivalent to other competitors in the marketplace, but I think better, because Jim's Jobs is very, very easy to use. But from then we start building the extra things on it, the things that will help you to be more efficient and make less errors. Because if we can cut our complaints down by helping franchisees to, like as I said, reminding you when you haven't called back, sending out, if you can't get on to a client, sending out a text to the client. And to quote, all the things that we ask people to do, we can do automatically and simply. And if we can get the level of service up, the volume of leads is going to go through the roof. Because we've noticed that every time we improve our service, the volume of leads rises. And we need less advertising to keep our guys flat out. Now, if we can continue that process, and nobody else is anywhere near what we're doing, they don't not even up to our bootstraps. If we can just become better and better and better at servicing our franchisees and our clients, I think it'll be fantastic. Now, how big we'll grow, I don't know, but I've never worried too much about numbers. To me, it's always, how well do we service people? How many franchisees are failing, and how can we stop that?
Thanks for that great question then. Hopefully Jim's Jobs next month will be great to get that out. I know everyone's hankering for it. So we've got a few people commenting on the live feed right now. We're not ignoring you, so we've just got the live crowd, so we want to get to as much as possible. We can't ignore Haydar, so Haydar saying congratulations on 50 episodes. Jason Pollock, Sal's tuned in. Eric's there again. Polo's a quick question for you, Jim. What would be the next country we'd like to see Jim's in?
The US.
US?
Yeah.
Okay.
Peter Vadger's looking after Vancouver now. He's got the regional rights there. He's taken it over last year. And he is very, very keen to go into the US, because in actual fact, Vancouver, if you know British Columbia, it's just north of Seattle. So it's 2 hours drive from his place into Seattle. And he actually has clients across the border. So it's an obvious way for us to go into the US. I think we've got some great systems actually, and once we get going, I mean, it should be our springboard into the US.
There's a great question there from Polozo. He's a fencing franchisee, actually. And then we've got Cassandra Gillen with a completely off-centre question, but I'll ask you real quickly, Jim, seeing as you've got a PhD in history. Hi, I'm from IG. Question for Jim. What two countries were already involved in a military conflict before the beginning of World War II? That's the question from Instagram.
Well, it depends on the definition of World War II. Japan and China have been fighting for a long time.
Right.
And also, if you don't count that, the Japanese invaded Korea, of course, and they were having problems there and so forth. So there was a lot of stuff going on.
That's an actual question for you. It wasn't a question like for you, but it was a question for her to answer. So it was quite funny. We'll keep going with that one.
From the point of view of China, the Second World War started about 1933 when they invaded Manchuria, but that would be technically correct, I guess.
So that's on the Jim's Group Instagram, so thanks for that one, Cassandra. So we're getting to another question from the crowd, which is from Maury. Is it Maury or Maury? Maury? Maury, M-A-U-R-I-E. Might not be here, so I'll read it out for him, which is a good one. What happens if you have staff and a complaint comes in? So the staff maybe cause the complaint as opposed to the franchisee themselves. That's the question.
I don't know what that means exactly.
That's the question. What happens if you have staff and a complaint comes in? So if one of your subbies or someone working for you as an employee, they generate the complaint, obviously it counts against you as a franchisee.
Oh, what happens if a franchisee staff causes a complaint?
Yes, correct.
Then you're responsible because you employed them.
There you go.
Well, no excuses. It's like if a franchise, you're responsible. We don't ask that employees come to training and so forth. It's nice when they do, and sometimes they do, and it's great when they do. But in reality, you employ somebody, everything they do wrong, and that can happen sometimes. You get a pretty good franchisee who puts a staff member on who's not as good, and you start getting complaints come through. So we get back onto the franchisee to say, look, either rein this guy in or get rid of them, because they're hurting your record and they're bringing down your star rating.
So there's another question here from Greg. Where is Greg? Greg?
Mowing.
Mowing, great.
Hi, Jim. Do you, or the national group from gyms, undertake market surveys of our competitors?
We're always watching our competitors in terms of what they do. Yes, we're very aware of who they are. You can actually do a lot of market surveys through Google. One of the most interesting things, you go to Google Trends and you can actually see who people are searching for. So that tells us, people like VIP and Fox, and we watch them pretty carefully. We always trying to work out figures and find out how many franchisees they have and so forth. But we do know a fair bit about them because we know, for example, that nobody in the industry does the kind of rigorous stuff that we do in terms of support. The surveys and the IT and all the rest of it, they're nowhere near. What's happened in recent years is that the gyms has wildly outgrown the opposition. We used to be, originally we were behind VIP, and then there was a few of us that were on a similar level. But over the decade especially, we've just gone so far ahead. But it doesn't mean to say we want to get overconfident. We're always watching, anybody who's doing anything interesting. What are they doing? Could they challenge us? But it'd be very difficult. It'd be very difficult because the kind of business we run now is enormously different and far more advanced than what we did 30 years ago. So it'd be extraordinarily difficult for anybody else to start doing what I did back in 1989 because the sheer investment in technology and so forth is so big. It's a bit like what Warren Buffett once said, and he's a legendary investor, as you know, and he said if somebody came to him and offered him billions of dollars to take away the lead of the fast food industry in the world, he said he'd give it straight back. He said, you can't do it. Coke and Pepsi are too entrenched. Well, we're in that kind of position in Australia right now, where we are so strongly in advance. As long as we don't slacken our efforts, there's no way in the world anybody can really get past us.
What about the online disruptors? Obviously, HiPages and Airtask. Maybe you want to mention them real quickly.
Well, that's interesting, and we did have a concern about it because, you've got HiPages is backed by News Corp, as you know, or as you may know, and they've put tens of millions of dollars into it. And News Corp is $1 billion company, but the interesting thing is that they look like they're going bust. And if you look at their Facebook page, you'll get an idea why, because clients don't like them, and on the whole, their contractors hate them like poison. And in fact, we've actually had a situation we made a deal with HiPages to try and give our unserviced leads, sell our unserviced leads to them. And we had a system where we could invite clients to be put onto HiPages, and overwhelmingly they said, no way, we're not touching them. So they've got a very different way of looking at the market. I actually think that because of our quality control systems, we're in a totally different space from these people too, because we're so much. Well, for example, one of the big differences is that we will look after people who get shafted by a franchisee, no matter what it costs. We had a fencing job which cost us more than $100,000 to fix. We paid for it, and it was a years-old fence. But the guy who did it didn't do a good job, gone from the system, couldn't be contacted. We fixed it. Now we do things that other people just don't do. We take responsibility for poor work. So I think at one stage we were probably getting more worried about competitors like these really big pocketed competitors. But I think the kind of model we have would be extraordinarily difficult for anybody to get a grasp on. Now, when it comes to cheap prices, the trouble with something like HiPages, they've got to go and find the jobs in the first place. They spend a huge amount of money on your AdWords and stuff. But we don't need to, because our franchisees, great service, drives the work in and the signage. So our advertising is a fraction. And Jim's group has been profitable for 30 years, continuously profitable and growing, whereas HiPages is still losing money, losing heaps of money from what we're told.
I remember we used to have the divisional meetings, it always used to come up, what are we doing about Airtask and HiPages? It's probably 2 years ago. And that hasn't come up in the last probably 6 months, just because if you go online to their Facebook, especially their app, look at their customer app, the reviews, they spend so much money on client acquisition, they just can't do anything on the customer service side. They say, we've just facilitated you with that tradie, and then go like that, right? Whereas we're the other way around. You personally get involved with the complaints, and we make that well known, and obviously all the good jobs people do. I think it's like the stat Mike quotes in training is like 5 million jobs in 1 year, and there's 7,000 complaints out of 5 million jobs. I can't remember what that stat was it 0.75% or something per complaint or something like 100 jobs, 0.75 generate a complaint?
Something like that, yeah.
Which would be unheard of with HiPages and Airtask. And that's our best form of marketing, is actually making sure franchisees do a good job. because they'll know that they'll keep coming back. So that first interaction when you have with a client, if they're a brand champion for life, you don't have to spend that much money on marketing the front end. I'd love to know what our marketing in terms of job leads is compared to those other places.
But it'd be a tiny fraction. See, the interesting thing is these online portals have come of age in the last few years. Now, if they were going to have an impact on the business, what you'd see is that our leads would be squeezed. We'd actually do worse. We'd have to find it harder to get leads. What's actually happened is it's remarkably easier to get leads. Last year, our unserviced ratio went up to 28%. So as these other companies are coming in, spending tens of millions of dollars to try and attack the market, our actual demand for our services is rising dramatically. Our problem is not clients, it's franchisees. We are really challenged. We're finding it very, very difficult to grow, to try and cope with this incredible amount of work. But we don't see any reason to be worried at all. And the competitor that would worry us is somebody who would compete with us for franchisees. That's the only thing that would scare us. Competing for clients isn't an issue.
We talked about that yesterday in the podcast, was about the service-based industry needs to be, sex it up in a way, right? Whereas we're trying to push all these kids into uni, to lawyers and doctors, right? Whereas these service-based, let's say blue-collar millionaires, right? They're the ones you want to go to, right?
Yeah.
That's what
Australia. Look, there's problems in Australia that we face. One of them is there's this unreasonable prejudice against manual work. And I've actually got calluses on my hands from doing farm work. I'm very proud of that. I love having calloused hands. That's an old style. Men used to have calloused hands from hard work. We've lost all that. People want to have soft hands like ladies and stuff.
Yeah, I've got pretty soft hands. I've got pretty soft
like
ones.
This guy.
Yeah, I've got pretty soft ones.
But it's like there's something shameful about manual work, and yet it's a great way of making a living, and I wish we could get that across. The other problem we've got is we've got too much prosperity. We've had 20 years without a recession, and I don't hope for a recession because I don't want my fellow Australians to have a poor times. But in reality, it'd be very good news for us if there was one. We grew in one recession back in the 90s. We grew 40% in a single year. And we weren't nearly as good as we are now. We didn't have as much work, but we just grew because people were getting these packages and so forth. So,
you secretly are hoping for one, aren't you? You always talk about it. You are, aren't you?
I always say that if I tend to vote Liberal because I think they're good for the economy, but I really should vote Labor. Not Greens though. We don't go back to the Stone Age, but still, if I voted my own self-interest, I would vote for the least competent party around.
So we have a few questions. We've got a few comments online coming.
Sorry to all Labor Party voters out there, but that's
if you listen to our podcast, Jim goes on a weekly rant about the Greens. It could be a topic about whatever else about science. It goes back to the Greens.
Yeah.
Because whatever it is, it goes back to Greens or Labor.
I hate the
And the ABC. And the ABC.
And the ABC. Inner city elitists.
We'll keep going on here. So Andrew Bossett is going, if a franchisee were to win a $250 voucher, could you just use it to pay yourself? Asking for a friend? I don't know. Would you pay himself?
Yeah, of course.
We've got to ask a good question then, Andrew. So you've got to put a question or comment in there and we're going to do that.
Well, a voucher is a voucher and you can use it for a service. I mean, technically speaking, all he has to do is to give the voucher to put it in. I mean, basically, if a franchise won, it's $250. It doesn't matter. You can pay yourself, I suppose.
We've got someone going to buy the monopoly with it, so I think
you can go and do your own garden and pay yourself, or clean your own house or whatever. Who knows what you did or not?
So put a question or comment in there, Andrew. You may win it. So we've got one here from who is the question here from Jason Pollock. So he goes, interesting points on high pages. Jim, totally agree. I know my franchise platforms or apps like High Pages. So Tim's actually a Jim's Pool Care franchisor, so it's good to hear that feedback. Then Tim Beanland, who you did the podcast with the other day, I speak to companies and business owners on a daily basis.
Oh, Tim's...
Yeah, that struggle for leads. Jim's is in such a great position due to the volume of leads, which is correct.
Yeah.
Our problem isn't the leads, it's the franchisees.
Did a great podcast with...
Tim Beanland, yeah.
It'll be linked on our page, but anyone wants to have a look at it.
Correct. It's a very clever name. It's called Bean Talking. His name's Beanland Bean Talking. So
yeah,
it's not a bad one.
It was really good. It was all about went beyond the normal business topics. It was a fun interview.
So we'll keep going. If some questions as well from the audience. We've got Glenda here. Where is Glenda? I love this question because it's a very good one. Yeah.
Glenda with a beaming smile.
Do you have a green policy in gyms at all? And I don't mean voting for the green policy, our environmental footprint. Right.
Yes, we do. We do.
It's a good one.
I think global warming is one of the big challenges facing us, and we've got to take it seriously. We're doing some great stuff with Ego, with a trailer. There's a trailer going around, and also you can see the links for this one. We've developed a trailer that actually, with a solar panel, and when they're driving around, it actually charges the batteries until you change over the batteries. So, because solar power stuff is great machinery. It's really wonderful stuff. It's powerful, it's quiet, it doesn't vibrate, they last longer. The biggest problem has always been batteries, but by having this trailer go around, actually charging the batteries as you go, and you swap them over, you can actually reduce your environmental footprint. Personally, we do a lot of stuff. I mean, obviously we use solar panels on this place whenever we can. We have it. I have on my farm too. My farm is turning 100 acres of what space used to be with horses into a food forest, and we can produce like 100 times as much calories in the same area as you can with a cattle farm. And cattle are terrible for the environment, so I will not have them. Don't believe in eating meat too, especially not beef. I think we really need, individually, as individuals and as a company, we need to do a lot more to try and meet the crisis that we're facing. I'd love to be in a situation where everybody could be in electric cars, but the technology is not there yet, especially not batteries. But we'll do everything we can. I mean, one of the major things we do, I mean, it's for the sake of our franchisees, but one of the things Jim's is best at doing is reducing travel. Because we have this system whereby you have territories and you can focus, and as I was talking this afternoon, you can actually focus as you run, which means that a typical Jim's franchisee uses a lot less petrol than a typical independent because of the way the work comes in. And a lot of our franchisees just only work in one territory. Their petrol bill is minuscule. That is a huge contribution, because cars are a big issue, a big problem. We've got to learn to live with less. We've got to recycle. You know, we have chickens and we feed out any surplus food to them, and we put stuff in the compost, and we try and avoid having as much rubbish as possible as a family. I think we've got to work at every level. We've got to, and I won't keep on going about everything about this, but things like carbon tax. We ought to have a carbon tax, and it ought to be distributing the money back to people in general, so it helps those who are less affluent. It actually makes them better off. There's things that we need to work at every level, individual, company, and as a nation, to solve this crisis.
So we filmed around an hour and a half of content with the boys for Ego. Remember the Ego trailer?
Yeah.
So it's going to be great. It's going to come out next week, we hope. Then on the website, we're going to have a Going Green section. And we're going to list anything that franchise groups do. So I know Jim's Cleaning have the vegan-friendly, environmentally friendly and cleaning products. They have them, so they do that for their guys.
I don't know if they're vegan friendly.
It says vegan on it. I'm telling you now. It's got vegan on it. I've got them in home.
You don't eat the soap.
It just says, I'm telling you now, it says vegan on the thing. So they've got those nice ones. We got Jim's.
I know they use enzymes and stuff
they
like
do.
that. So
but it's on the branding. I'll bring it in tomorrow. It's on the branding. I'll show you. It says vegan friendly. I'm telling you now. But the cleaning and doing it, fencing can have the trailers as well. So that solar powered trailer, we want to actually replicate not just for mowing, but for fencing other divisions who have the handyman, for example. They can have all the batteries in there. It charges up as they go. You actually got on all the gear as well in terms of holding the mowers and the whippers and all that sort of stuff. So you're there for around an hour and a half. So that's going to be out next week. But we hope the Going Green movement, what we do is we're going to do a bit of PR around that. So when that trailer video does come out, it's approved by Ego. They're an American company, so they're very tight on the marketing and what can be happened. But hopefully we can do that and do some PR and get Jim on some programs, maybe talking about that, and hopefully not bag the ABC or the Greens. So you might have to go to them when you put you on there, like the project or something, hopefully. But we can get you on there, and hopefully a few of them can come on the road. It's a great price too, isn't it? I know we don't want to talk too much about prices, but it's very, very, if you think about the long run, it's very comparable.
The thing to do, what you've got to try and do is make a system that's actually economically positive, that actually helps. If we can go green and also help our franchisees to make better income, that's what we're aiming for.
And longevity too, because of the RSI and stuff. A lot of our guys get some hedging, for example, right?
Yes.
Those things are so light. You held them, didn't you?
Yeah, they don't vibrate, and it's a big problem with mowing franchisees. So it's good, and it's also, I mean, environmentally friendly in another way too, is they're so much quieter, so we can actually start this equipment and use it earlier in the morning, and we can go around retirement homes and so forth, and schools where they don't want a lot of noise. So there's many advantages to the environment in this stuff. We see battery powered as a big way to go, and if we can solar power these batteries, it's a fantastic thing. Yeah, but they're going to do a fencing trial very shortly. I think they're
That's exciting.
starting to work on one.
Very exciting. Some Eric Jurgens from Mother Cafe goes, there is a room for both kinds of work, Jim. After all, how important is Joel? So I'll move on from that one, Eric. Charlie Jackson's gone, what skin cream do I use? I don't use any skin cream, Charlie Jackson. Davey McDonald's gone, I paid myself. So David, who won one of the vouchers, actually did pay himself from Jim's Antennas.
Yeah, that's fine.
So that's really cool. Then Eric Jurgens goes, Jim, I liked your mowing tips today. Maybe you should do one on every division where you do a job, i.e. clean a room, wash a dog, put up a fence. So if you don't know, on the Facebook page, we actually did have Jim in his backyard. We call it Jim's Jungle, where we're doing some long grass mowing.
The thing of it is, I'm an expert in that kind of thing. I'm very good at cutting long grass. I don't know that Rachel would want me in her trailer washing one of her dogs particularly, would you?
Maybe not.
We'd have to heavily sedate it or something. You're always getting bitten by a pole at home, so you're always getting bitten.
Yeah, I get bitten by my dog, mostly because I turf him off the bed and he doesn't like it. So,
Well, I think we've been doing videos where franchisees come to Jim's house. So we've had Kate from Dog Wash and we had David from Jim's Antennas. So hopefully more franchisees can come and do stuff at Jim's house, and obviously you'll pay and don't have to pay a lead fee either. So you can come out there and do some stuff, then we'll do a video with you. So it'll be really good.
the interesting thing is actually, considering that we do so much, that I know so little about any of them really. It's the great thing about our structure. We're very good at franchising, at documents, at customer service principles, at service to franchisees. We know that kind of stuff very, very well. But 50 different divisions, we really wouldn't have a clue. But we've got great people in every division who understand them very, very well.
That's it. So we're getting to another question here from Anita. Where's Anita? Up the back, Anita, from Dog Wash.
Hi, Jim. Just wondering, what made you decide to start Jim's Dog Wash?
It's a great system, actually. You see, it came out of discovering what a hydrobath was. And people think that, you wash a dog and whether you wash him in a bath or something, it's the same thing. But actually, a hydrobath is a totally different kind of treatment. A hydrobath gets right into the pores, and it cleans out. It's a much cleaner. It gets the dog much cleaner, so you don't get smell. It also takes out the loose hair. So when I sort of was reading up on that sort of stuff and learning about it, so we just actually started to do our own trailer. We had a metal trailer originally, which wasn't much good because they rusted to pieces in no time. But it was basically seeing the market. Because the interesting thing is, we've got like 140 something dog wash, haven't we? And there's like 1,900 odd mowing. But when you look at it, 2/3, there's probably more people got dogs in Australia than got lawns. So why shouldn't dog wash be as big as mowing? It's a phenomenal industry. Because too, when dogs are inside so much, which tends to be the case these days, much more than I was a kid, for example, then the smell and the shedding of hair becomes a very, very major issue. So I think it's just a phenomenal business. The biggest issue with dog wash is not the demand from the clients. It's just the fact that the trailer itself is such a big item, a really good trailer, especially when you've got hot water heating and air conditioning and the rest of it. It's an expensive item, but it's an amazing business. It's potentially it could be the biggest. It could be the biggest business, biggest division one day.
That's the first time we said that. It's always cleaning come up, but dog wash is the first time. So.
Well, seriously, dog wash. How long ago did Sharon take over? About two and a half years.
2 years ago.
Okay, in that time, it's grown from 65 to 140. It's more than doubled in just over 2 years. Now, no other major business in gyms is growing at that sort of rate. And we cannot cope with the demand from clients. It's just massive. In fact, the bigger we grow, the more the demand tends to be. We tend to find it easier to find work than we did 2 years ago because they're very, very visible, those trailers. So it's an immensely exciting division. I basically, for those who don't know, Haydar never forgives me because I pitched his best franchisor from cleaning. And I said to her, I just basically said, I'll give you the division, just make it work, use your magic. And it's been brilliant.
There you go, that's a great one there. So next one, actually, David Rumpf. David Rumpf goes, Joel has a present for you. So I'm leading into that one from Dog Wash because you talked about the fur and stuff like that. So David, can you maybe show Jim how to use this thing actually? Come up here if you can. Just come up. We'll get you to show. So they're giving you a present, Jim. So Jim's Dog Wash.
Yeah.
Now I'll let David explain it to you what it is and how to...
It's alright, it's not going to hurt Jim. So basically what it is, it's a tube that you put over your head and then you can pull it back up over your nose and mouth. So you ready?
It's like just to protect you from fur, so they're going to put it on you.
I've got a very big head.
That's all right.
That's all right.
There you go. And no robbing banks in this because it'll be pretty obvious where you've come from. So, and then what you can do is, there you go.
You go on a desert on a camel. That's it.
This is for what?
Just to show you what it is. So you want to give you as a gift.
A lot of our guys will use them to prevent breathing in dust and dog hair. So
I think I'll use them for preventing breathing. Actually, I'm just about choking.
You can take it down. You can take it down. But I want to give you a gift for you. So there it is, a gift for you.
Well, actually, I suppose we could send them out to if people are scared of coronavirus. If we had everybody running around with Jim's dog wash scarves protecting themselves, it'd be good PR for us, wouldn't it?
We do. We'll keep that on you for the rest of the show anyway, because it looks good on you for Jim's dog wash. All right, we'll go on to another question here. So we'll go, where's Ryan? This is quite a poignant one for Jim's.
Okay, Jim, this is a big one. Do you have a plan to start a franchisee in mental health? As example, Jim's mental health.
Yeah, we've discussed it actually. If we had the right person to do it, we probably would, because look, the thing with divisions is this: psychologists and so forth as a service. We wouldn't mind doing Jim's doctors or Jim's physios or Jim's anything if you had the right person to drive it. It's something I personally have a passion for. I think we see the terrible damage that mental health problems have for so many of our franchisees. We had that shocking situation year before last when that franchisee of ours killed three little girls and his wife, and basically, you know, it's still hard to cope with. It wasn't his Jim's franchise at all, but we've done a whole series of things since then to try and make that less. We were trying to help to prevent that kind of thing and help people with mental health. We send around fridge magnets to every franchisee with all the helpline numbers. We've set up a mentoring system for franchisees with issues, which is volunteers. We've been giving mental health training to our
Franchisors have a whole day of it.
Yeah, we have a whole day of mental health training for our franchisors because it's so important and it's becoming an increasing burden. I personally am running a research program, for those who don't know, which is spending $1 million a year into a research into to try and deal with the basic causes of mental health, and we think we've got some very, very interesting results that could have a massive impact on this issue. But if somebody came up who was the right kind of person who could run that kind of thing, we'd love to do it. I don't think there's any. It's just a massive challenge for us these days, and every franchisor knows this because we all get affected by it. I had an email today actually from a franchisee who tried to take his own life, and this poor guy is just under terrible stress, and you know, I was emailing him about what we're doing, and we're suspending his fees for a bit, and I've also put him in the mentoring system that we have, and just said, look, you know, keep in touch, and I know Chris will look after you well, and please contact me anytime you need to, and you know, we just want you to stay well. It's very sad actually. It's yeah, we want to do anything we can to help with that, that's for sure. Though I do think that treatment is one thing, but I think also prevention is important too. One of the things we're very strong on in Jim is having a sense of community. We really try and help franchisees to get together and to care for each other and to build strong relationships. And it's well known that's one of the major things that helps people in that kind of area is that sense of community, that sense of wider family. So a lot of what we do in gyms, even though it's directed partly at making sure we don't lose franchisees, it's also to try and keep us mentally healthy as well. Things like meetings are actually very important. And talking to your franchisor regularly and talking to your fellow franchisees, all these things we try and encourage are all part of that. And I'm also a great believer in things like exercise too, because exercise is a tremendous, it's not just for the body, it's for the mind. It's actually far more effective than any antidepressant. And we've got Jim's personal training going, which is a division that I really love. I mean, you know, I love dog washing, I love mowing, and I love the rest, but personal training is one that has a direct effect on our mental well-being too.
We're going to get him out here to film you as well. So he has a 360 trailer. We've done a video online, so we're going to get him to come back out and take the staff through their paces, and we're going to get you to do some as well.
Yeah.
Get you to do some tricep dips and some squats. And
well, we do things in gyms for our staff, for example. We get 2 boxes of fruit
Jim's Home Fresh,
from Jim's Home Fresh delivered every Monday morning, and that gets distributed to the staff. We've got permission eventually at last, after 3 years of trying, for our Jim's Gym on site. which will help my staff and my prospects and my franchisees and franchisors who are around here, not for the public, just for our own people, to keep healthy. In actual fact, that's health and fitness is a huge thing that any of us can do to maintain mental health in ourselves and those around us. There's many different ways of coping with this problem. Counselling is one, but also prevention is important too.
So thanks for that question, Ryan.
Yeah, I love that question.
Can't wait for Jim's Gym, because when we always get asked online, someone tries to be smart and says, "Oh, Jim, what about Jim's Gym? Or when's Jim going to do a gym?" I'll take a picture of it with you and it go, "There's Jim's Gym." That's it. And it's enough.
We probably should put a title.
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to do the logo with the logo generator and put Jim's Gym. We're going to absolutely do it. Don't worry about that.
But not for the public.
Not for the public.
Just internal, just for our own people.
So someone here's gone, Andrew Rossiter's gone, here's one, can I use the voucher for a squash lesson from Jim? Squash lesson. Gee, try and say that quick. Squash lesson from Jim.
I hate to say it, but I think I'm not the best person to get a squash lesson from, unless you
Give him a game, Andrew.
unless you're Rachel, of course. But that's
Have a shot of Rachel for a squash game.
I'm really not that good. At the local club I play at, we've got five levels, and I'm sort of a good 4 or a bad 3. So
It's not bad for your age, though. It's pretty good. It is. It's pretty good for your age.
You mean just for a geriatric, I do okay. Thanks very much. I outlast this bloke, I tell you.
Oh, we never played.
Flabby.
Oh, Flabby, come on.
Spends all his time swanning around Thailand doing goodness knows what.
Oh, gee whiz. Did you put him in the spot there? I was going a few temples, Jim. Go to some temples, that's all I'm doing. Go to the kickboxing. I'm just watching you back on the camera. It looks like a cravat on. It's quite funny. I like you in that. I'm going to keep that on there. The Jim's dog wash cravat. Yeah, it looks good. We'll keep it on there. Actually, can you see yourself there? Which actually looks pretty good. We'll keep it on there.
It looks a bit posh, doesn't it?
It does look very posh, actually.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah, all right. We'll keep it on for the rest. All right. Where's Edwin?
Hi Jim, what's your favorite band?
What's your favourite band, Jim?
Well, this is going to come too well, but I love Hillsong. It's not exactly a band, but it's a music style.
You've said some artists before that when we've talked. We've had this question a couple of times. You said like Gershwin, or you said Beethoven and stuff like that as well. They're artists more than bands, I guess.
How could you regard Beethoven as a band?
I said he's an artist. I said he's an artist more than a band. He's trying to give more.
He asked about the band.
Hillsong's not a band. Hillsong's like a big church conglomerate who has all these bands.
No, Hillsong's got a great music ministry. It's very interesting.
Right.
Actually, just talking about Hillsong, because my daughter goes there now, and it's actually a franchise. They're actually extremely well organised at Hillsong. Like one of the things that creates a good feeling is people being packed close together. They actually have a system of vouchers where they actually push people along and get them to fill up the seats, so you have a better atmosphere. And then they have systems of support and so forth. It's actually like the McDonald's of the Christian world, if you look at it that way.
McDonald's of the Christian world.
But it's all to do with systems. That whether you're running a church or whether you're running a lawn mowing business or whether you're running a fast food joint, there's structures and systems and organisation. And I admire anybody who does that kind of thing well. I often say I love McDonald's. I hate their food, but their organisation, their training systems are absolutely fantastic. You've got to admire people who do things well. And here's all about systems. We have systems in gyms about the way we treat clients, where we treat franchisees, and we're constantly looking to do better. Well, McDonald's is the same and Hillsong's the same. They're very similar, even though we work in very different fields.
And if Hillsong's watching, you can use that tagline. Let's say the McDonald's of, what did you say, McDonald's of what?
The McDonald's of the Christian church.
McDonald's of the Christian church. There we go.
Well, this is actually, I don't think people know this, this is actually an Australian business, Australian church that started in Sydney. It's now all over America. They've got stack space all over America. It's an Australian export. We're actually good at exporting Christianity too, to the home of, to the Bible Belt of the world, which is the US, which I think is pretty good.
All right, we'll keep going with that one. All right, so where's Peter? Where's Peter in the audience? I'm a Jimmy, I'm a position Jim on that.
This guy's an atheist,
Yes.
so we have some interesting discussions.
Absolutely, we do.
Jim, how do you measure success in Jim's group?
By my franchisees succeeding, Peter, as you know very well.
But this is a good one to talk. But this is a good one to talk about, though, Jim, because what you do is we always say, in 5 years, where do you want to be, that sort of stuff.
I never have numerical. I mean, we'd like to grow, of course, but I've never have had numerical numbers. I think it's always been, how can I get my franchisees to succeed? The biggest single stat that we're concerned about is attrition. How many people are we losing? If we could stop losing people, we would be all over the world in no time. So that is the measurement of success. First is how successful are my franchisees? Statistics like how many report poor income, what portion, and customer service. How good is our customer service? Those are the two things that matter. And I think one problem businesses have is they focus too much on the bottom line, too much on money, and businesses are run by accountants. And we have financial people at gyms, but we're driven by service, not by cash. And in the end, if you give the service great, then the money will tend to flow. But service must always come first.
It's a very sensible question from Peter.
It's a good question.
Yeah, he always...
Well, I would have said something about, I know how much you love green, or the greens. Maybe a suggestion for the mowing group is to maybe use them as fertiliser, which would cut down our carbon footprint. Is that...
Use who as fertiliser?
We'll keep going on, Peter, with that one. All right, let's go to another one here.
What we should do, actually, too, in the mowing division is use the grass clippings better. I've never, in all my mowing career, ever taken a load of grass clippings to the tip. Grass clippings are a fantastic basis for compost. I have never, ever, ever tipped any of them. I think it's shameful to do such a thing. We should always be converting them into compost. And I used to have beautiful veggie gardens and grow all kinds of things with my fertilisers, with my grass clippings. I had a big dump actually at our place, which is next door, and I got the franchisees to dump off grass clippings, and it makes the most beautiful compost. But my wife got addicted to the smell after a while, so I had to stop it. So very unreasonable woman, my wife. I don't know. Just because you've got a stinky grass clipping compost pile in your front yard, so what?
So we'll keep going. There's a lot of questions and comments coming online, which is great. We're not ignoring you. It's just always a live one, which is a bit hard to get through. Everyone's here. So I'm going to get to one more comment here from Mason, which is gone. Hey, Jim, what's your proudest achievement within the whole company? PS, I really want that bucket hat so hard. Well, you can, Mason, just say from IG. All right, we'll keep going. Mason. All right, what's your proudest achievement within the whole company?
Well, I know I sound boring, but it's always to do with anything to do with franchisee success. And anything I can show that we're getting, the fact that we're getting more and more diamond awards from my franchisors, that's if you want to concretise it, you know, how many diamonds do we actually get at our national conference? How many diamond awards do we get? Diamond is what's voted by the franchisees in terms of really, really, really good support. It wasn't even existing until 3 years ago. Now there's more and more diamonds every year. And everybody wants diamond, isn't that right, Peter?
I wanted to.
But you like the phone calls, though. You get the phone calls for anniversaries, and you say it makes a big part of your week or your day when you get one from 5 years or 10 years in business saying how good it is.
That's very good. Actually, I don't get them. I make the phone calls.
You do, yeah.
I do actually ring people up. I've got a list. I've got a few people to ring tonight who are anniversaries from the past week. But it's always in terms of success. Emotionally, that's what drives me more than anything. I really didn't have much of a clue when I started gyms that it could be so successful. I just had the one passion. I want my franchisees to be raving fans. I want them to be really successful. That was always the thing that motivates me.
I think if that drives you, and it should be also for the franchisees, they will succeed.
Yeah.
They're doing something that they like, and a lot of them have had a change of lifestyle to do that. Having that passion and continuing to have that passion, I mean, I've known you for almost 20 years now, that passion from you has never waned. It's always been there.
That's right. We've just I was talking to some people. We got our training group this week to do answer some questions, a whole lot of questions. We're actually developing a psychometric test to try and figure out how to. Most franchisees do succeed. There's like the 5 to 10% that really weren't suited in the first place. If we could work out who they are and not take them on, as tough as that may sound, but taking on a business that you fail at is a very damaging experience, emotionally, financially, psychologically, can affect your family, all other things. If we could work out a way to pinpoint that small minority that fail and not take them, and have pretty well everybody be successful, that would be amazing. That would be phenomenal. And I take, it's the greatest pain when I see people fail, and it's the greatest pride when I see them succeed. And there's nothing else come close to that. The only thing after that is customer service. I'm very involved in that too. Every day I go through complaints. I actually personally go through just about every complaint comes in a gyms group, which is surprisingly little actually when you think how many work jobs we do.
We'll keep going with another question here from the audience. So we got one, is it Champ? How do you say it, Champ? Champ, it's a good name. Champ.
Champ.
Yeah, you probably answered this in the last question, but can you name one thing that's going really well in this company and one thing that's not going so well?
And one thing that's going really badly. I like that second bit. We haven't heard that one before. One thing that's going really badly.
What's going really well? Well,
Social media, Jim.
social media's going well, yeah. That's a bit of a loaded answer. Sales seems very exciting, actually. We're looking at more effective ways of selling franchises right now, which is our biggest challenge. The thing that's going badly, basically, is we're not growing that much. We're not going backwards, but it's
a holding pattern.
It's a holding pattern, and that's very discouraging. So many interesting things going on, some great opportunities going on, great ventures, new software, new systems, but we just haven't grown a lot. We think actually a lot of our competitors are going backwards from what we can see from out there, but we're not growing. That is the biggest challenge we face right now. We've got this incredible demand from the public. We just can't find enough franchisees to put on to catch up with that growth. We could be growing at 15-20% per annum with the work we've got, and that's the biggest challenge we face, and that's the biggest issue. And actually, a lot of the things we're doing now to improve service and so forth with Jim's jobs and stuff is will probably make the situation worse, because of course our single worst customer service issue right now is unserviced leads. We've got close to a third of our customers are now unable to get service because we just can't cope with them, which is good if you're a franchisee, but overall it's a big problem, big challenge.
Thanks for that question, Champ. That was a good one. So we've got Rebecca. Where is Rebecca? At the front row. Jim's Dog Wash.
When was your last holiday and where?
Well, we actually went to a beach house because the worst time of year for me is Christmas. I mean, I would abolish Christmas if I could because it gets in the way of work. So.
That's true, he's a Grinch. There's no Christmas bonuses, there's no nothing. No Christmas party, no nothing.
Back in the 1650s, the Puritan Commonwealth had tried to ban Christmas. I thought, oh, this is the right idea. So I have a big problem. I don't know what to do at Christmas. So what we decided to do was to book a place at the beach from the 26th until the 3rd of January, which is the quietest time of the year. By the 30th, we had enough and we came back home. So that was it. That was my last holiday.
What about overseas?
Overseas holiday?
You went to Thailand, didn't you?
That wasn't a holiday.
Yeah. You went over there for an expo, didn't you?
No, I went over there because somebody invited me to be a speaker.
Yeah, but you could make it into a holiday.
Well, that was the point. It wasn't a holiday for me because I was...
It was a holiday for your family.
That's right.
Yeah.
My family likes holidays. I don't like holidays. What happened was they invited me to go and give a series of talks. So I went and I gave talks in the morning, and then I ran seminars in the afternoon, and then I did my emails and I did my phone calls and everything else. So I could actually be occupied, and my family had a holiday, which was all paid for by the whole thing. So that's my idea of a holiday, when I don't have to stop working, if that makes any sense. Yeah. I don't like holidays.
That's a good question. So
I don't think anything is as fun as work. To me, business is like some giant, fascinating, exciting computer game. You know, the best computer game in the world. That's what business is to me. It's so fun. Every day is a challenge. Every day you're making decisions and you're challenged to, how can we do this better? How can we improve? And talking with people and obviously got a lot of good relationships with people at work and so forth, and then talking to franchisees and getting ideas from them. There wouldn't be a week go by I didn't get some really good idea from a franchisee about how we could improve things, or a franchisor. So it's such a wonderful, wonderful life. Why would you want to go on holiday and get away from that? Despite the fact that if I go stay away for even half a day, that my emails come up, you wouldn't believe. I mean, I can be away for most of the day. I've got 80 emails waiting for me when I get back. It's not fun. So I like to keep on top of things. Time off is a bad idea.
Love Mike Davenport's face. I've just been watching it the whole time you've been here. It's a ripper.
Well, if you have anything to do with me, you know you can get phone calls or emails at any time of the day or night, can't you, Mike? There's no such thing as office hours where Jim is concerned.
That's very, very true. So we've got another one here from Ryan. Where's Ryan?
The funny thing is I was actually at the farm and I lost my phone.
You did? Yeah.
I couldn't find it. So I actually went to try and I sent an email, this was a Saturday afternoon, to several people that I know, And virtually all of them answered their emails and got back to me and started ringing the phone. So,
Then your name carries certain weight of response on an email, Jim.
but
That's
they were
always gonna
still
happen.
on. What impressed me is that so many people were actually answering their emails on a Saturday afternoon. So I think I'm not the only person that has that.
No, I think they're just brown nosing, Jim. That's all right. That's all good. Right, we'll keep going here. Where's Ryan?
Evening, Jim. If you were buying a franchise tomorrow within the Jim's group, what division would you buy into if it weren't mowing?
Good question.
Probably trees. Trees, because I love being outside. I really, really do. I was at my farm today, actually working outside between, emails and so forth, and I love doing the hard physical work. The other thing I would possibly, I like trees because they're sort of green and leafy and stuff, and it's fun. The other one that would interest me is fencing, probably, because it's physically demanding, but it's also a great business because of the sheer volume of work is incredible. And also, too, I mean, I know that goes against what I said before about splitting, and you can't really split fencing businesses, but it would be a great business to build a major business, too. You could put teams of guys on. So possibly fencing overall.
60% unserviced, I think, at the moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a great opportunity. I mean, it pays well, too. We don't charge, we're not cheap. I know when Warren got in, when the fencing division was very young, this guy called Warren Smith got in and started doing it. One of the things he did was basically double the labour charge, which doesn't double the cost of the fence because the wood's the same, but he doubled the labour charge and gave 10 reasons why you should use Jim's fencing, and the division took off from that. So fencing is a very, very lucrative division. I'm amazed that we have unserviced leads. I can't believe it. It's such a great business. I don't understand why people don't go into it. You could become a millionaire out of doing things like that, seriously.
That's a great question. So we'll get to a few more comments and questions coming through online real quickly. So someone's gone here, have you ever thought of updating the Jim's logo to your current looking face? That was the question online. It's not a bad one.
No.
No, there we go. All right. So Jim's...
I am quite happy not to be recognised. People have no idea who I am most of the time. So it's.
Has anyone come up to you like outside? Because you quite often go to the Coles in Mooroolbark down here and on the speakerphone. Do they know it's you?
I'm not recognised.
No.
No. People often ask me. They see the uniform and they ask me which division I work for. I said I work at the head office.
The expo is funny. We went to the franchising expo though. Some people still couldn't believe it, even though you did your talk for 20 minutes and you went and did some signed books and get photos of people. Some people couldn't. They looked at the logo, kept looking at you, couldn't believe it. So, franchising expo where Jim really shines. Everyone comes up to you and just swarms you, and the person who goes after you.
Well, the only reason that's not to give away books. Come on, be real.
Oh, come on. They like to talk.
It's not magnetic personality that draws them in. You get a free book. I mean, it's a great book too. You've all read my book? You haven't read it yet, have you? You've all got copies of it. Read it. It's a great book.
There's also an audio version of that as well if you like talking books available from jims.net.
Yes.
So we'll get to another one here. So Jim's Antennas has gone from online. Have you ever considered providing ongoing business or life coaching for all franchisees and perhaps franchisors? Jim's Antennas, Coff Harbour.
Well...
You are contactable by all franchisees and franchisors. I'm sure they could ring you up and say, what I do, my missus is, you give some life advice.
Yes, that's a good idea. Ask me for marriage counselling. I've had 3 divorces. There's 3 different women who couldn't stand to live with me. I don't know the person to ask me advice on domestic issues, unless you want Jim's divorces. I can tell you all about that.
Jim's divorces. We had Jim's marriage counselling as one of the logo comp winners. Jim's marriage counselling one. You didn't mind that one. But yeah, a lot of franchisees, do they bring you up for anything outside of business? Have you ever had that much?
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Well, like this person today, actually, he just wanted my advice on this issue, and this poor guy who's tried to take his own life, and what can I do? So it was email. I was just chatting with him on email and trying to help him to understand what to do. I think but a lot of what we talk about too in these sessions is about mental health, because it's and we've done some sessions on that.
Yeah.
I'm very interested in the science of happiness, so I do tend to talk a lot about those things, whether people ask for counselling or not, because it's this prevention thing. There are certain kinds of behaviours that I wish people could adopt. Fitness is definitely one. Having a good diet, strong social relations. With me, it's very much my church, and as well as the Jim's community, and a strong sense of bonding with people around you. A sense of purpose in your life. People should not live for purpose, not spending your money trying to get more and more, prestigious goods and fancy cars and stuff, which really is a terrible way of spending money. It has very little to do with happiness. The best use for money in terms of pure happiness and satisfaction is giving it away, and the scientific discoveries have found this. So I'm happy to talk to anybody about those kinds of issues.
Can you give me your money if you're going to give it away? You're giving your money away? How do you give your money away? Do you maybe tell people you give a tithing or?
No, well, I tithe, obviously, that's a Christian obligation, but most of it goes to the research. We've got $1 million going into the research program this year. I hope in coming years we'll be able to dramatically increase that.
But you've put that's over many years though as well. It's not just $1 million. You put a lot of money into it.
Millions in the past have gone into this sort of thing, yeah. You've got to have a reason for living, and to do with my life is very purpose driven. My research has always been a very core thing. That's the reason why I wanted to build the wealth, but also Jim's people in general, my sense of obligation to my franchisees, wanting them to be successful. That's a major purpose in my life. My family, obviously, I've got 10 kids. I love my kids dearly. I'm really crazy about my kids, and I want them to be successful. And that's a lot of my energy is there too. Trying to live your life for yourself is a very bad way of achieving happiness. You know, there's a statement that alcoholics is very strongly characteristic of alcoholics, and that's the statement that the purpose of life is to be happy. Because by wanting happiness, by thinking happiness means doing what I want to do, actually is the last way to achieve it. Whereas people who say being happy isn't my purpose in life, doing something worthwhile and meaningful with my life is what really counts. And I see that in many of my franchisors in particular, a lot of really wonderful people, and you can see of course we deal with franchisee crisis, you can feel the hurt that they feel and the genuine concern for franchisees. It's very characteristic of Jim's franchisors, not all by any means, but most in particular. They're really decent. Like Sharon Connell, who's the most successful franchisor we've ever had in terms of actually selling franchises. She is the most caring, loving, decent person you could possibly imagine. Everybody knows her, loves her. Everybody. She's just like that kind of person, and she's a classic, great Jim's person. And she actually came into Jim's because she read this book, the early version of this book, and she liked the values, and she believes in the values, and so she's good at it. And there is a strong element of that in Jim's, that sense of family, that sense we're responsible, that sense we as franchisors are here to serve our franchisees. That is quite widespread, actually, and that's something I take enormous pride in. I really do. The people that genuinely, decently care. You know how we choose franchisors? The best way to choose franchisors? We go to the franchisees who are acting as trainers, and we find somebody who in their own time in the evening spends ages counselling new franchisees they've taken out just because they want to help them, who are prepared to sacrifice hours of their own time, usually highly successful people making good money, prepared to sacrifice hours of their own time to help their franchisees to be successful. That's having a sense of purpose in life, and it's wonderful. And it applies along the way through. I was so touched when we went to that terrible meeting in Perth after that guy killed his kids. And most of the franchisees in the whole of Perth were there at that meeting, and we were talking about all these ideas, which I've referred to before, that we've implemented now about care. But you know, one thing that really touched me, somebody mentioned the idea of mentors, people who would actually sacrifice their own time to help others who might have issues. And more than half the people there, actually I asked to put up their hands, more than half of the franchisees in that meeting, which is most of Perth. And that to me is a wonderful, wonderful thing, that people in gyms on the whole care about each other.
So we'll leave that there, and there's a couple more comments coming online real quickly. So someone's gone, vote 1 for Prime Minister for Jim. We get that every week. Someone goes, oh, I'd love to hear about that one and have some Jim's marriage counselling. There's a few others ones there, and someone's going, hey Jim, would you like my BSB and account number?
I like any franchisee who has any issues at all. I'd love to talk to them. I really would. I'm very happy to talk.
Well, people don't want to disturb you is quite often the comment, isn't it? They say, oh, don't want to disturb you, Jim, or sorry to disturb you, Jim, all that sort of stuff.
I wish they would. It's actually enormously great when I hear from people. I find it very rewarding too. Sometimes you're going to be able to help people in a way that just makes my week. More than anything, actually, the things that if I look at a high point of the week, it's never some statistics about achievement in growth or anything. It's because I've had a conversation with a franchisee where somebody says what a great life difference it's made to their life and to their marriage and to their kids and these kinds of things, and how much they appreciate what we've done for them. That is really the biggest reward there is. And I think most franchisors actually feel the same way.
So what we'll do is we'll end it there, guys. I know it's been a long week so far for everyone. I'm going to award these vouchers. So I think I marked the one with the voucher when you said it was a good question, which was the mental health one. I think it was from Ryan from Jim's Dog Wash. So you get a $250 voucher, which is great. And then we'll obviously, I love questions. I love questions which get Jim away from mowing. So that was one from Ryan at the end as well about what would you do other than mowing, and went into fencing and a few other divisions, which is great. Too, yeah. So it's really good. So we'll give you a signed Jim's book at the end there. So thanks everyone hanging around, and good luck with all your journeys being franchisees. We do this every Wednesday night at 7 o'clock. It's still going. Hopefully it's still going. It's a great opportunity. We have a lot of franchisees who ask Jim questions on the Facebook Live, and as opposed to emailing him or calling up. So feel free when you do start as a franchisee, just ask Jim a question or comment every Wednesday night at 7 o'clock. We do this, and make sure you check out our podcast, which we do every week as well, which is on YouTube as well, and iTunes, Spotify, all that sort of stuff with Jim. And thanks for that, Jim, and thanks for putting the bandana around you, the cravat around you. Definitely class you up a bit, I reckon, with the legs crossed and that. So thanks for that, guys, and we'll see you again. Ta.